Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Horn Dawgs podcast. I'm Jonathan Cerda Rowell.
I'm Steve Big Hern. Get him again, Hernandez. Great to be here with you guys once again. Thank you so much for so many of you watching YouTube. Our numbers have tripled. They weren't great before, so it's not as impressive as it sounds. But thank you. It's very encouraging, especially because my sweetheart of a wife does all the clips and puts in the work and stuff. So thank you for that. Keep telling your friends. Subscribe. That's a new thing. 100 subscribers is what we're hoping for. So go right now, pause it, press the subscribe button on your podcast, on your Spotify. Hey, man, now that that's all out of the way, I've got a question for you, Jonathan.
Yes, Steve.
Did you ever get in the habit of stealing things when you were younger?
No, I stole a packet of Fig Newtons one when I was 6, and I said, I'm out. The pressure was just too much.
Did you get caught?
I did, by my own father, because he's a fucking narc.
What happened?
He made me go back in like it's a 1950s story and apologize to some Armenian lady who worked at the Ralphs in Glendale for stealing the Fig Newtons, and she was just looking at me like, I don't care. This has nothing to do with my life.
The Ralph's right down the street?
No, the one further down.
Okay,
you know,
right.
really in the heart of Glendale, the thick of it. You know.
Oh, that's a nice Ralph's.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. What about you?
I believe that I met. I don't remember why. I met when I was doing AA maybe 10 years ago, and I met with a guy who was going to be my sponsor. Outside of that Ralph's, I think we got a coffee and we sat outside of the Ralph's.
Outside of that very Ralph's in Glendale?
Yes.
Wow.
And I believe that at one point, like I was like working the steps. So I believe I got down on my knees with him and like prayed at that.
Oh my, this is a horrifying story.
Dude, I know it's helped a lot of people, and I really don't want to put down something that continues to help a lot of people. But for me, someone who used to be religious, it was very hard because there's things where I just could not wrap my head around. They did not make sense to me. And they would say, just do it. Just pretend like you're doing it. And that's, to me, is what religion does all the time. And so to me, I always just felt like an idiot, just going through the motions, even though in my heart I was like, and I'm not, obviously I'm not against doing things that make me look stupid. I'm a stand-up comic. I was a born-again Christian pastor for a while. I live on looking stupid, but there was a lot of stuff I couldn't wrap my head around that I just did because they told me to do.
Can you walk me through what an AA meeting structure looks like? Because I've always been curious.
You've never gone?
No, because I don't have that type of problem.
I think they're great. I think they're fun to go to. You like say a prayer, someone shares for like 10 or 15 minutes.
It's religious?
Yeah, I mean, the first step is you're supposed to admit to God.
To God?
Or you're supposed to admit that you're powerless with alcohol. The third one is you hand over your life to God or a power greater than yourselves. I think that's the third step.
Okay.
And so they'll tell you, if you're like an atheist or something like that, they'll say you can make anything your higher power. You can make this book your higher power or whatever. But it really is like pretty God focused, which I'm not totally opposed to any of that shit. But at that point in my life, I was, because I was just getting out of that kind of thing.
And so when the meetings start, is there like a chant? Do you guys go into a Gregorian chant, or is it like an eyes wide shut where everyone's kneeling topless with masks?
You've been to orgies before with all guys. Yeah,
so I mean, just like the West Covina one and a few others, but I'm not like a regular at the orgies. I'm not.
So you've been to like 3 orgies?
Yeah, no, two to be honest.
2,
yeah,
and they were too gross for you.
No, they were fine. It wasn't really my thing. Why? Are you saying that AA is kind of like an orgy? Is that what you're saying, Steve?
What kind of person do you think where an orgy is their thing?
Like you, someone who wears tie-dye a lot,
stop.
Someone who wears a trucker hat.
I have been in one orgy.
Just one?
Yeah.
I think it is really for people who they get off when If someone were to just be caught naked, that turns you on and you'd start to get excited, then an orgy is for you. But for me, I have to kind of really it's like going to an orgy for me is like being in a play, where I have to really get my head in the game and I have to go to that space. But I don't think it's natural for me.
I don't think orgies are natural.
Well, they were for the Romans and for the Mayans.
I would love to have a friend group, a group of, like 5 or 6 couples where you guys have group sex. Obviously, that's why I want to start my own commune. Obviously, that's the dream, where you guys all have sex with each other. And then every now and then, of course, you would have a big one like that where you have an orgy.
That's what I want to do. I want to start a commune too, especially because housing is so hard now. And it's going to be a gay male-only commune. And we could like go to war against your commune, like the chimps of Uganda.
Why gays only?
Because I don't want to deal with any other type of people.
Gays are awful, notoriously. You know that,
well,
right?
That's your fault, though.
No,
that's straight people's fault.
That's why we made the laws
broken.
against them, is because you guys are notoriously awful to be around.
And who has made our lives awful? The straights.
Haven't you found that...
The pussy eaters.
Haven't you found that most gay guys think that they're funny if they just quote, like, Bravo shows and stuff?
Yeah, they're dead inside.
Yeah.
They're dead, but they're the equivalent to their straight counterpart of guys who just consume sports and UFC, and they're just a black hole of that shit, and there's nothing else going on, you know?
Yes.
That's who they would be if they were straight.
Now, let me ask you this question. You're a gay comedian.
Yeah.
Do you think that every gay guy thinks they're the funniest guy in the world?
No. I think that's a false premise that hack comics like to.
That's what I'm asking you.
Put out there. This is also what I fucking hate about comedy is like they just put out all these false premises into the world and innocent people suck them in.
Innocent gay guys.
No, innocent people.
What are you
we believe false premises about everything and about every group of people.
Yeah. So why do you think gays don't support other gay comics then?
Oh, well, that's different than...
No. That's what I was fucking asking, you fucking liar.
No, that's not.
Pretty much.
No, you asked... Let's go back.
Yes.
You asked, do you think all gay guys think they're the funniest person in the room?
Yes.
That's different than gay guys not supporting other gay guys.
Yes. Oh, you knew when I said all gay guys, I didn't mean all gay guys, right?
No. I take you literally.
I, of course, know there are introverted gay guys.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
No,
okay, then.
Now, why gay guys don't support
Yes.
other gay men?
Yes.
Because they hate themselves, and they all know that on some level, they want to die because of who they are. I really think that that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter what type of gay guy
A much more sad answer than I was expecting, but rings true.
Hey, sometimes on Horn Dawgs, we don't give you anything horny or funny. We just give you truth.
Do you think they hate themselves because they know it's a sin? Being gay?
No, I think that I think they hate themselves because they encounter people like you all the time who tell them it's a sin.
I think they know they're sinning against nature and against God.
No, I think it's because they
Can I quote some scripture to you?
No, you cannot. I think they hate themselves because they live in a world that's like that's truly, it's kind of exhausting. It's truly not for you. It's like this world is just not for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes I do pull over on the side of the road and I just like hyperventilate and then I just like go back on and then it's like, oh, because I need a break from this world that's just not for me, you know? It's kind of like in The Witcher, how the vampires were there because of the big summoning or whatever it's called.
I don't watch that nerd shit. Phil. Stop.
Well, the vampires spilled over from another dimension into the Witcher universe, you know? And that's kind of what gay guys, it feels like gay guys tripped and spilled into another dimension.
That is sad and that is true. But there are gay guys who, I mean, they want to just get married. I guess they just want to be left alone. What's the deal with that?
Oh, yeah. That's kind of, I think, where I'm headed, you know? Yeah. Because they want to shut the world out. You don't want to let anyone in because you can't trust anyone, you know? You're getting really on these answers for me. I guess the listeners are going to find out that I'm not as much of a buffoon as I've made myself out to be. Huh.
It is. The answers you're giving me are quite sad.
Yes. But they're true.
Yeah, they are true. I do believe that. Everything you're saying, they ring true to me.
But up next, we'll be talking about Gaza. And we'll be
That's okay, though.
And I won't make you guys cut that one out.
We've cut out some very funny Gaza jokes on the podcast. Let me just say that because
Not at the expense of the people in Gaza.
yeah.
At the absurdity of the situation.
Yes, yeah. We're obviously not teasing about such a
Imagine
horrific.
us teasing. Imagine us thinking we were edgelords and teasing about that. We're really doing the hard thing here. We're doing the thing that no one wants to do.
You never got into stealing. It was so fun. I used to steal a lot of stuff.
I was petrified. I was a goody-goody.
Yeah.
You know?
I was a goody-goody. People used to tease me. Do you remember that? Did anyone ever tease you for being a goody-goody?
Not for being a goody-goody, but for being another thing.
Yeah, I was teased for being a goody-goody.
So people were like, "Ha ha, you're a good person, fucking
Danny,
loser."
yeah. Danny would always kind of steal my friends.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, because he's a really cool guy, you know. He's always
kind of like Prince. He is. He's short. He's kind of effeminate, but
he's not that short.
He's pretty short. I mean, compared to me,
he's like 5'8". Yeah.
He's. I think of him as 5'1".
Yeah.
But he's kind of effeminate. He's flashy. He's very talented and successful, and he's always like surrounded by beautiful women.
I remember that's what Chris Estrada said. Like, oh, your brother's like Prince. I was like, he's not really that much like Prince. But
you hate this. You hate being upstaged by your brother.
I don't like for my brother to be called Prince.
But you just have to know that.
I think my brother's a creative genius.
I'm
not going to hold that back.
And even though he'll always be more successful than you, you have to know that you will be the one that like is the most raw and broken. And that's why you're actually the most compelling one.
I don't think I'm that broken anymore.
Oh, trust me. You are broken. You're shattered.
We'll have to ask my wife about that off air. She knows. She plays me like chess. She
God!
Keeps all these secrets inside of her. She'll never tell me what she really. Like, she's peeking from behind the lights, doing her eyebrows like this.
You're broken, babe. But how could you go through life and not be broken in some way? Something's gonna break you.
Yeah. I think so we're talking about all these sad things, but it's why we're comedians. I remember when we pulled a joke about Gaza, and I told Jonathan, "This is what comedy is for, John." I was like, for us to laugh at these awful, God-forsaken situations.
And I thought that was corny, so I still made you cut out what I said.
Yeah, he slapped me.
Yeah,
he slapped me. Have you found that you're dominant in the bedroom?
It depends. It would depend on my mood. I really do change.
Yeah. Versatile.
I guess, but I don't even think of myself as that. It's more the energy of like, do I feel like squeezing your throat, and there is this like dominant energy where it's like I almost feel like gritting my teeth and I feel like just squeezing kind of the life out of something.
Yes.
And then there's other times where I want that to be done to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the dream, and you have different lovers for different things, I guess, right?
I guess, but lately I really haven't been indulging in the openness of things.
Yeah, you just haven't felt like fucking.
No, I have. I just haven't been, slutting it up and down the boulevard, as they say, as my mother would say. Don't you slut it up and down the boulevard like you like to do.
Colorado Boulevard. That's what I'm picturing. Brother Popeye's chicken.
Yeah, right under the 2 freeway paths, showing some chicken leg out there.
That's
where I hit a guy once with a car.
I'm sorry?
I hit a guy there once.
How? Why?
With my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a 1998 Mustang given to me by my aunt.
And what was the guy doing? Crossing the street?
Yeah. Well, he was protesting for children's rights. So I just gunned it.
What really happened?
Well, I was making a left, and he rode his bike right in front of me. And he went up on my windshield, but I was making a very slow left because it was one of those lefts where the cars take forever.
Yeah.
And then the light turns yellow, and then you have to like really slowly go.
Yeah.
So luckily I hit him at like 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he went up on my windshield, and my car was fine. His bike was fucked.
Yeah.
And then all these like looky-loos got out of their car and were like, they're pointing at me, and they were like, he's the one responsible, he hit him. And then the guy was like, I know, I'm right here, he's right here, And then the cops came, and then the cops told the guy like, do you want to press charges, and he said no. But the reason he said no was right before the cops came. He looked at me and goes, "Man, I can't talk to any cops. I got so much fucking drugs on me right now."
No.
That's what he said. And so then he goes, no. He didn't even want to look the cops in the eye.
Yeah.
So the cops were like, "You don't want to press charges?" And then he was like, no. I'm fine. And so then I called my dad. And my dad has like a Volvo station wagon. So my dad took his fucked up bike.
Yeah.
And then I took the guy to county hospital.
Yeah.
And then he had 2 sprained ankles, and that's it. And then we just gave him money for his bike and for his medical bills, which were for just 2 X-rays. It was crazy expensive, actually. And it was just settled in a Target parking lot, and he didn't do anything. And then I visited him once at his bike shop on York in Highland Park, and he was fine. I was so lucky that I wasn't driving fast, he wasn't going fast, and he had drugs on him, because if it had been someone else, they would have pressed charges.
The Target in Eagle Rock, right?
That Target, yeah, we're Nella boys. We were up here, yeah. I was so lucky that he just wasn't hurt, and he was a drug addict or a drug dealer. It sounded like.
Yeah. God, man, that's so scary to hit somebody. Thank God he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the right, I feel, and I would have fought valiantly in court.
How old were you?
21.
Oh, you were. Oh, that's. I was picturing in high school. You had a Mustang when you were 21.
Yeah, my aunt gave it.
You would go to open mics in the Mustang.
Oh yeah, I didn't drive in high school.
I just don't remember you driving ever, really.
I know, because I would get my that car I totaled, and then the next car I would get it repossessed and all this shit. So there was always like some crazy shit. So yeah, I would. That's why I was so skinny, because I mean, I didn't eat an disorder, but I was literally walking 3 hours to Mike. So you cannot keep the weight on.
I remember my older brother. I remember he bought his first car when he was like 19 or 20, and it must have just been. He was working at Chick's Sporting Goods in Covina, and he must not have been making like that much money, but I remember he got it repossessed, and how sad it was to be like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
He had a little red Toyota Tercel, and to just watch it getting repossessed, and just like, God damn, this is so sad.
It is sad. Did it go to auction? Did he try to get it out, or? Because
No.
mine went to auction.
I feel like he moved to like Portland pretty soon after that. He lived in Portland for about 8 years.
That's so Danny.
That's my older brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been Danny.
To
move to Portland.
Well, Danny totaled my car when when I was 19. I became an intern at the church that I ended up becoming a pastor with, and part of the internship was they would pay for rent at a place. And so Danny moved out. He had just graduated high school, and we lived in this 1-bedroom apartment across from APU. And, dude, we trashed that place. Like, we just had so much shit in the bedroom. We would just sleep on the couches in the living room.
Yeah.
But Danny I would work the morning shift. We would work cleanup at In-N-Out, Store 64, at 4 in the morning and 6 in the morning. One of us would come into either one. And then I would do church stuff after that shift, like around 3 p.m. But Danny would work at Chili's, too, at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. until, like, midnight or whatever. And then he'd do it again just to get by.
Yeah, that's just suburban purgatory. You know what I mean? Like, that's real, like, that's real working class out in the burbs. You know what I mean? And not the nice burbs, the, like,
No, it was
sketchy burbs.
It was a struggle, him working all those hours, 2 jobs. Finally, he borrowed my car to go to In-N-Out in the morning, and he fell asleep and, like, crashed my car. And then he just went to the Marines.
Oh, he's just like, I need my trapdoor is the Marines. He just pulled it and he just disappeared.
I mean, our apartment was right next to a military sign-up place.
Of course, they always put that shit in Mexican, Filipino, and black neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Because they go, this is what you guys are good for dying for a country that wants to kill you.
He just signed up after that. He's just like, I'll pay you back for your car. I'm just going to join the Marines. And he wanted to get away from me. We were a year apart, and I was such a domineering force in his life.
Yeah.
That he was like, I just got to get away from this guy. This is the only way I know how. Then he joined the Marines. He went to beauty school on the GI Bill, and now he's an artistic genius, like Jonathan said.
Yeah.
Like Prince himself. Did you know at Paisley Park, Prince's home is basically in a mini mall? It's basically a mini mall.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. There's this little kitchen area. They're like, when you go to Paisley Park, there's a little kitchen area that you go to, and they're like, this is where Prince spends most of his time. And it's just like a little booth and a kitchen. It's a kitchen. And there's a little TV in the corner. They're like, this is where Prince would like eat, have snacks, and watch some of his favorite shows, including The Big Bang Theory. And what was the other one?
That's the only one I remember.
And probably That's So Raven.
So Prince is just watching that show, and he's going, bazinga.
Yeah. Or taking the lollipop out of his mouth and going, that is so Raven. I've never really liked Prince's music.
Really?
Yeah, it was overrated. I was always an MJ fan.
Yeah, I mean,
MJ had just like real danceable pop hits. Prince was just kind of like, do you remember there's a time where, Julia probably remembers this, a bunch of comedians decided to throw like or Silver Lake Lounge had a Prince David Bowie like dance night, and it was so hard to, I was there with all the comics, it was so hard to dance to either of their music, because I'm like, yeah, these guys just don't make music that's like dancey.
yes.
You know?
If that's how we're judging music, yes. But sonically, musicianship-wise, yes, Prince is superior. If you're talking about soul, if you're talking about musicality. But yeah, if you're judging pure hits and danceability, you got to go MJ.
Yeah, I don't like Prince. I'm actually I'm glad we're done with him.
Well, it was very hard to like him in the end because he was Jehovah's Witness
And a homophobe, even though
that's
he's
what I mean.
such a faggot.
Yeah.
What a faggot.
Yeah.
I mean, he just, how dare you look like that and be homophobic? Like, are you kidding me? He looks like Rosie Perez in like the early 90s at every point.
He's committed the worst sin, in my opinion, is to be a former slut and then to start hating on sluts.
Oh, right.
It's like, you fucking suck, bro. I hate you.
Exactly.
Rosie Perez, the first person I saw, this is real. I saw her in the movie White Man Can't Jump when I was in 8th grade at the West Cove. And I did not understand what I was looking at.
That's how sexy she was?
No, up until that point in my head in middle school, this is for real, I thought there's white people, I thought there's black people, I thought there's Chinese people, I thought there's Mexicans. And Rosie Perez is Puerto Rican, but she did not feel Mexican to me at all. She felt more black, and her accent, I didn't understand what was happening.
Well, a lot of the Caribbean Latinos are part black.
Yes.
Yeah, they're Afro-Latino.
But that did not fit into my...
Yeah, you were like, I do not know what that is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I did not know what I was looking at.
Now, sometimes in the summer, you get mistaken for black.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, because you get very dark.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that and how you can prevent that going forward. I do have the skin bleaching cream here for you.
Here's the thing, too, is that she was so sexy but annoying. Her accent, her voice was like fucked. When I was little, I was like, this is a fucked up voice. Now I think it's cute and it's got its charm. But then I was like, she's annoying voice. She's super sexy. I don't know what to do with all of this.
And she's an Oscar nominee.
Back then, she was not.
No, not then. But later, just a few years later in the 90s.
For what?
I don't know, but it was a 90s film. I don't know what it was.
Interesting. I don't think that's true.
It absolutely is true, and I'm going to look it up right now, and I'm going to prove you wrong, bitch.
All right.
I'm looking it up while
He's
Steve reads.
Literally looking it up.
Steve is someone who reads in public, everyone.
I was going to read that book. I brought that book for a bunch of different reasons, but one of them was I did want to talk about...
Fearless, 1993, earned her a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Fearless.
What is that?
I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah. I thought that you would be a shoplifter.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you have an impression of me that you only know one side of the monster.
Yeah, I'd love to know all sides, inside and out.
But that's the nature of the beast. You'll never know. I'm like a chimera with when you chop off one head, another one grows.
A chimera? What's that?
I don't know, some ancient Greek monster. Yeah.
I used to steal a lot of stuff. I'm talking about huge bags of stuff at the mall.
So how old were you?
8, 9, 7.
That's fine.
No, but huge bags of stuff.
Well, you were impoverished.
Where did you ever get the idea I was poor? It's funny. My dad made a lot of money. They just didn't know. I have a joke about this where I say, how many people grew up poor? And then people were like, yeah. And then I go, how many people grew up with parents who are bad with money? And then everyone goes yeah. Because my parents were just bad with money.
Right.
There was no way they ever knew. My dad they would get blackballed from banks. They would bounce so many chicks.
Hilarious.
Yeah. My mom would say, I remember driving me in little, and she's like, oh, we're blackballed from that bank. So do you know how many checks you would have to be bouncing to be blackballed from banks?
But see, that I think it's probably easier back in those days because that was the checkbook days.
Yeah.
Now it's much harder to get blackballed from a bank, right? You just have to like leave your account in the negative for a long time, probably.
Yeah. I mean, but they must have just deliberately been bouncing checks. You know what I mean? Like
Fuck
all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you can do to screw over banks, I think is good.
Now I can say that, but that's not what they were doing. They were running from the law, bro. They were like fucking things up.
That's hot.
I remember my mom saying, "You don't have to pay the bills until they send you the red ones."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember like pulling out the envelopes. I'm like, gotta pay it. The final notice.
Right.
Yeah. And my dad made good money. And then when my mom was working too, they made good money.
Yeah.
They just did not know how to spend it. My dad always blames my mom. And he has like a few stories he'll like say all the time. He'll be like, I was making $100,000 a year back then, which, back in the 80s was a lot.
That's
early
a lot.
90s.
Holy shit.
He's like, and I just give all my money to your mother. He's like, I'll never forget one time coming home. The lights were off and Danny and Drea were warming themselves to candles.
What?
That's a real story he tells all the time.
In Southern California? How fucking cold could it possibly be?
I know.
I mean, it's been cold here sometimes, but warming yourselves to candles?
Warming yourself. He's like warming yourselves to candles. He's like, because the electricity had been turned off. I do remember the electricity getting turned off and stuff.
Do you think your parents were buying drugs?
My dad was for sure buying weed and probably coke if it was the 80s.
Yeah,
but I don't think that he was. That was not the reason we did not have money. I do think my mom was and is terrible with money.
Like, what do you think she was blowing all this money on, especially in the 80s?
I do think a lot of it was she was giving it to the church.
Oh my God, that's like the worst thing.
I know.
I at least want her to be like, I have all this stuff that I bought, like I'm a shopaholic or something.
Yeah.
Because at least, here's the thing about women who buy a lot of expensive things.
Yeah.
At least what they're buying, those designer shit, those are investments. You can resell that shit, right?
Yeah.
But giving it to the church, that's the worst thing you could possibly do.
You know what, John? That's
Oh
a
my
really good
God.
question because I know
That makes me so
They probably
sad.
were, but it's that I don't know what the fuck she was doing. This is something I'm gonna have to ask her about because I know she was terrible with it. So was my dad, but a lot of this time they were like kind of Christian, so I don't know what they were spending it on. Because we had bad cars too, so it wasn't like car payments or something. I remember at one point my dad had a white Corvette, one of those dope ones that look like the Batmobile, and he bought one of those and he ended up selling that like pretty quickly for money for something. And then, man, it's funny you're asking these questions because now I'm like, something's not adding up. But I will tell you this one funny story before we go to break. So my dad had this sleek white Corvette. He ended up selling it. And then one other time, we were driving back from something. And like we always had some fucked up station wagon or some shit with like no roof thing with shit falling on your head. But we were driving back from something with my parents. And then we saw a white Corvette drive by, and then we were like, look, Dad, that's like your old Corvette. And it like pulled in front of us. License plate said, Julio. My dad's name.
And it was his.
No. But we were dying. It was so funny. My poor dad. I mean, that's the thing. My dad sometimes won't admit that about some of the stuff he did, fucked up things he did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think you just get to the place where it's like you couldn't live with yourself if you like really allowed all the ways you fucked up in life.
Do you think he was blowing some of this stuff on like strippers and hookers and stuff like that?
Maybe,
because that sounds like how you blow $100,000.
Yeah, maybe
a yearly annual salary.
Hey, let's talk about this more when we come back. And we're back with more Horn Dawgs.
You really went for the post-cum gers.
Dogs don't even do that. They come and they're like,
oh, you really studied the orgasmic patterns of dogs? Some shit
you know, this is disgusting. I think I may have tried to joke about this in my first year of comedy, but it's just too disgusting. We had a big roach problem growing up.
Oh God, yeah.
So we would have to.
Ugh.
I remember doing this all. We'd find the eggs like around.
Oh God.
We'd turn it on the lights and them being around, but we'd have to like clear out the kitchen and like regularly, like clear it out, put it on like the patio, and then like bomb with like raid bombs.
Yeah.
And then hoping that would get them, but it just like never got them.
Of course, because roaches, they've survived. They're ancient beings that have survived many apocalypses. Like, what makes you think that this roach bomb is going to do anything? And then they become resistant after a while.
Someone should have told my parents. It was such a pain in the ass to clean out the kitchen like that.
You know what? You do sound impoverished. A roach problem. I remember my sister had a roach problem in Pico Union in her first house, and it was like a shithole.
Yeah.
And they were able to buy it because it was I mean, completely unlivable. They had to put in everything.
Yeah.
So I remember I'd be like taking a shit, and people who like grew up poor or working class know this. There's a type of like foam caulking that you put in that's like it like bubbles up, and it's kind of fun to play with. But it's really unsightly, and she would have that, and I'd be like taking a shit, and it's like from the outside it's like a beautiful old Victorian house, and inside it's like a halfway house, right?
Yeah.
And I'd be taking a shit, and then right next to my face on the wall would be the biggest roach. I don't think I've ever seen roaches bigger than that. They were like Amazonian jungle roaches. They were just massive.
Well, the big ones really aren't.
Ugh.
The big ones aren't like when you think of roaches. Those aren't. Those are almost like water bugs things. Those aren't like the ones that are bad. The little ones are the bad ones.
They are, yeah. I mean, I was trapped during the pandemic in a apartment that was infested with little roaches.
Ooh.
I mean, I would wake up and see. Actually woke up from sleeping on the couch and saw a little nymph roach be born.
Oh, was it beautiful? I mean, so I'm trying to place my dad back in that stuff where you're just seeing roaches. So he has money.
Yeah.
But, my mom was 15 when she gave birth to my older brother.
Yeah.
My mom is just, to this day, no disrespect, Mom, if you happen to listen to the episode. But it is like she's a kid still. She's just stunted at that point.
Right.
And, my dad, he has money and shit now, but he has zero idea how to spend it.
Right.
So we'd get blackballed from banks and stuff all the time. But he would go to a check cashing place to cash his checks.
Oh, yeah, it's been there.
Yeah. I mean, this is how he couldn't go to the bank, so they would take a large percentage. One time, I joke about this in a bit, but one time he left the money at a payphone for the week. He would get paid every week.
Oh my God.
And I would just remember how furious that was. I must have been 8 or 9 years old, and I'm telling you now about it. I remember like that was a rough week.
That's great. Wait, was your mom furious or your dad was furious at himself?
My mom didn't get furious. My dad was, fucking a ball of anger all the time.
Yeah.
I never remember my mom.
Oh my God. Yeah, that sucks when you lose out on some money. Once an ATM, after I just got off of waiting tables when I worked at that fine dining restaurant in Eagle Rock, $700 in tips, and they were from several days, right? So I was about to deposit late at night at the ATM all my cash tips.
Yeah.
Because I thought better not to take it on the bus, right? Yeah. The ATM spits out a slip that says $0 has been deposited, error occurred. And I was like, what? And then I log on my phone to like check my accounts. Nothing has been deposited.
Yeah.
And then I go back to the bank the next day and they're like, yeah, we don't have any record of it. And I was like, what the fuck? And I made them pull the ATM camera to where they saw me deposit all the money.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, well, it'll take a few months to get to you. And I said, a few months? And so then I just threatened to close my account right there. And then they extended me a line of credit for it. And it just took so much bending of their arm. It was ridiculous. But when you're that poor and you lose $700 in tips, I mean, I understand why people kill themselves. I really do. I was like, I should just walk in front of a bus.
Have you ever thought about killing yourself?
Oh, yes. Of course.
Because you're gay, right?
among other things.
Because the world wasn't built for you. You better not ever say that monologue like you did at the beginning of the show again.
Why? You didn't like? I didn't pre-plan it. That was how I actually feel.
I know, but you
Yeah.
have to have a cigarette or something. Save it for your script or something if you're gonna say that thing.
I'm not.
again.
I would never write something that corny in a script.
But you'd say it on our podcast. Thanks for nothing, you
Absolutely.
fucking.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah. That absolutely.
One of my earliest memories was is I remember my parents. We moved from where what's the Highland Park bar, Julia? No, the other one.
La Cuevita.
La Cuevita.
Yeah.
We lived right by there in an apartment.
My sister's friend was shot and died right in front of there on the corner.
Yeah, well, we lived close enough to that where I believe it. But we lived in an apartment pretty close to there and we moved to West Covina when I was 5. Danny was 4, and Dre must have been just born or 1 or something like that. But I went to kindergarten in West Covina. But I'll never forget one time my dad, earliest memory, we lived in this apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. I don't remember what our bedroom looks like, but at some point my dad was just always laying on the couch. He was just exhausted, so he'd watch TV, just lay on the couch.
Right.
And he's a pretty buff guy and stuff. He's still in pretty good shape, but he's getting older now. But he was, I think of my dad as like a buff, like athletic guy.
Was he always lifting weights when you were young?
A little bit. There was always weights around, but no, I think he's just naturally kind of built like that. He's just a well-built man. But somebody came inside our apartment when my dad was watching TV. Someone opened the door and to break in. And he just grabbed my mom's camera and a purse and ran out. And my dad chased him down.
What the fuck? So he caught him.
He didn't. The guy just threw the stuff and then he did that. But imagine being 4 years old and waking up and hearing that story. Pretty good, huh?
That is fucking good. You're also dad could have died.
Of course.
That's
but you don't
crazy.
think like that. Yeah, you don't think like that. But it was a pretty bad neighborhood. I remember we had Asians around and I would call them a slur.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it, but it's nothing that you're thinking about, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure I could guess it.
It was NIPS.
Nips?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why.
You liked their nipples?
No. I didn't know. I remember they were all around us and we would play with them and stuff and we would, I'd call them that. And then I remember my mom saying, my poor mom is so, I don't want to say she's dumb, but I can't explain it any other way.
Right.
And she would say, you can't call them that. And then I would say, Mom, I'm not even saying anything. That's what they are. I remember.
Oh, my God.
But I didn't think of that as a slur either. I thought that's what they were called or whatever. Who knows where I got that from, too.
From other races, Mexicans.
Yeah. From somebody saying something.
Yeah.
I remember asking her, too. I remember asking her, hey, Mom, if you...
Never heard that in my life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I knew.
I only say nips to refer to my nipples.
Yeah,
my nips.
I'm sure
my nips off.
Chinese people or Asian people have heard it before because I didn't get it out of nowhere. I was 4 years old.
And if you have, comment on the YouTube.
I remember I asked her, "Hey, Mom, if you get stuck somewhere, can't you and you can't know how anything to eat? Can't you just keep eating your shit? And then if you eat your shit, then you'll just shit it out. You'll just keep having more to eat." I didn't understand nutrients or food.
And that's waste.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And my mom also did not know how to explain that to me.
So she was like, I think that's a good idea, huh?
No, she was just like, no, that wouldn't work. She didn't know how to think of nutrients or
You
anything.
have the spoonful of shit halfway in your mouth. You do a freeze frame.
Are you sure?
Or you spit it out. You do a shit spit take.
I was in that apartment complex. I was hit by a car twice. I was ran over by a car.
This explains a lot of things.
I was literally ran over by a car the day my sister was brought home from the hospital.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Yes, this is for real what happened. I had a balloon that said, "It's a girl," and it bounced, and I went to get it, and I remember seeing underneath the car.
Oh, but you probably it probably passed over you and
Yes.
you bumped up into it like a dog, and the wheel didn't go over you. Obviously,
No,
you'd be dead.
yeah, because I was so little.
Wow.
I fell downstairs, had to get 20 stitches. This is how much my parents did not watch out for me. 4 years old.
But I mean, I have a lot of injury stuff like that too, and I just feel like it's hard to keep kids alive. So if they don't, it's like,
I think it might just be a different time. They used to just let us roam around like that.
Well, once I think I may have told this story, but I was like singing to the Spice Girls and jumping on the bed, and I had a comb, and we don't have high ceilings in the house that I grew up in, so I jumped so high that I actually hit my head against the ceiling, and then the comb went back into my throat, and it lodged in my throat, and then I had to like pull it out, and I was like bleeding.
Oh my God!
From singing like spice up your life or whatever, and then like stuff like that, and then my cousin tried to kill me, and then my sister pinched me so hard I lost. I like you get the breath knocked out of you. Yeah. And what else? Once I fell off a roller coaster. That was crazy.
Where?
At a county fair, because I got scared and I went out on the emergency side and I fell through a bunch of wiring.
Oh my God.
And I remember being like trapped in wiring. And then I just remember these like my dad's like big hairy hands coming and like picking me up. And then I remember everyone just being like there was a crowd of people being like, "Oh my God, a baby fell through the." I'm like maybe 5 or something.
You probably shouldn't have been on that roller coaster, right?
It was for kids.
Yeah.
And then I got ice, and I got ice cream, and you can still see in some pictures like a big scab I had on the bottom of my chin from hitting a bar as I fell through. I just like yeah. And
this will be the end of these. Unless you have another good one. But my dad used to have this Trans Am, and I was sitting on the front seat or the back seat or something. I remember like I think it was the back seat. This is before like I was 4, so you didn't used to keep babies in baby chairs that long. I think just little babies. But I remember leaning on the seat, and my mom turned, and I flew out of the car.
What?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I landed on just picture like a regular suburban sidewalk. How there's like the front part, a sidewalk, and then a front yard.
Yeah.
I just landed on that front part, someone's grass. I don't know how this happened.
Wow.
That's really what happened. I flew out of the car and landed on that thing. I wasn't even hurt.
That's so great. There are freak things like that where like you just narrowly miss a horrific death. There was, those big bouncy castles? Once at my Theo's house up in the desert, all these kids from all over the family, because it was like a big kickback, right, climbed into the bouncy castle, and it was too small for all those kids.
Yeah.
And then and it was on a slope, so the bouncy castle actually tipped over, and we're all in it. And I just remember all these kids flying everywhere, and we're like, ah! And we're falling down, and some kids got really hurt because of it. Because if you're just tumbling inside a bouncy castle, it's like putting kids in a washer machine, right? And I remember me saving my little niece, who turned out to be a homophobe, so I really regret saving her.
Yeah.
But I like pulled her out, and we had to like break open the side netting, the netting on the side. And then I remember getting out and being all scratched up, like bloodied and everything. And then I look back, and there's just this bouncy castle completely flipped over on the side, on the down part of the slope against the neighbor's fence.
Yeah.
And all these kids were just screaming. They were just like, ah! And it was just me and my niece having made it out.
Oh my God.
But I knew at that point that I felt like someone who would go through shit in life, but would be lucky and survive it just by the hairs on my chin. Yeah.
Oh, man. I just think people used to be more careless with kids, and it might have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about this helicoptering stuff anymore. But
how are you guys gonna be with Amelia Jones or whatever the fuck your
Amelia
name
Jones?
is?
Well, listen up, Amelia. I think we're gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
So far, we've been perfect parents. I don't think we worry too much. Do you think you worry that much, Julia?
I think I worry enough, but I also stop myself from letting it spiral out.
Right.
Like my sister's terrified. She was just terrified the whole time of her kids getting molested by strangers.
Right.
That's just not gonna be our way.
You're just gonna offer her.
The
up.
Strangers could have her.
Yeah. Just to have a little sign looking for molestation. It's dark. So sorry. They're not all hits.
They're not all hits like that beginning monologue.
Well, sorry, you started off with the dark questions.
What was the question?
I fucking forgot. But you basically, instead of warming me up, you didn't warm up my pussy. You just stuck 3 fingers in, and then I gave you a 3-finger answer.
One time,
I'm broken, Daddy.
One time, a girlfriend, a past girlfriend, I'm not gonna say who or whatever.
Yeah.
But she was like, "You can put it wherever you want tonight," and I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" And I remember obviously that means you can put it in my butt.
Of course, yeah.
But I'll never forget. She positioned herself. This is a very long time ago. This is my early 20s. She positioned herself to get it, and I remember I just went like this. Just like shoved it in, and I remember she, like a cat, hit the wall, like just like crawled up a wall. Almost.
That's an awful thing to do to someone.
And just ran in the bathroom and said like, "Leave me alone!" Like,
of course. And
I didn't know.
And I don't. And for all the guys out there who have never been fucked in the ass, yet, what it feels like is the muscles that your sphincter have been forced open by an external entity.
Yeah.
And so it's this deep aching pain. It's a type of pain that's like, it's you have to kind of like bend over and like take a breather from the pain.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And that's what she did, I think, at that point.
Yeah. So you're a monster.
But I wouldn't even have known how to work it with my fingers or my mouth or anything like that. She was also so uptight too. It's so funny. This particular girlfriend
she let you put it in her butt?
Nah, who knows? She probably saw it somewhere in a movie. But
oh yeah, she had never heard of that before.
Well, I'm telling you, this chick was like, she would always come very fast. In retrospect, I don't think she was coming at all.
She just wanted to get dinner.
Yeah, no, she would come very quick, and then she'd be like, "Hurry up! I came already." And I'm like, in retrospect, I was like, "This bitch was not coming."
No.
Yes.
No.
This is that same girl.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like that Laura Peak joke about like if the guy. It's a great joke. I'm gonna butcher it, but it's something about like guys being like, my girlfriend, when she comes, she looks so beautiful, and she's like, I have news for you, your girlfriends are not coming. She's like, because if they're coming, they're looking like ugly, like they could not control how they look, you know. It's a great joke.
That's great. And you guys could follow Laura Peak to get more bangers.
Hey,
like that.
why is that bad?
I'm just, you just butchered the joke.
So what? They'll go and they'll hear her do it.
I'm so sorry for Jonathan right now.
I want to give a fuck.
Well,
I don't give a fuck about Laura or her joke.
I would steal Garbage Pail Kids. Do you know what Garbage Pail Kids are?
No, I'm too young.
Yes, you are. Do you know what Garbage Pail Kids are, Julia?
I watched I Love the 80s.
Oh my God.
With Michael Ian Black and Greg Proops. That's how I found out all about all those alt comics, is through I Love the 80s and I Love the 90s.
Dude, we would... I mean, I'm telling you, me and Danny used to steal so much. And my mom was so Christian, too.
Yeah.
That, if you don't know, Focus on the Family is this Christian organization. Christians, anything that were popular, they would find some way to link it to Satan. That's what this book is. That's what... I found this. I was talking about this. I hope we're getting it. I remember last time we had a glare. But it's called Turmoil in the Toy Box. On the front is a Cabbage Patch. It's He-Man, E.T., G.I. Joe, Rainbow Bright, Teddy Ruxpin.
And you wrote this?
No, this fucking dude wrote this. But they just would find it's Turmoil in the Toy Box. So they would find all these ways to link these toys and cartoons to Satan.
I mean, they're correct. They have a point.
But my mom hated that we were into the Garbage Pail Kids. Because, Focus on the Family, they said that, it wasn't pure. Because there's really nothing wrong with them. If you guys don't remember Garbage Pail Kids, they were like parodies of Cabbage Patch Kids. And they would like be gross out stuff like decapitated Ted. And it would be a little Cabbage Patch Kid getting his like head cut off, or like Leaky Lisa. And it's like a girl with all this snot coming out of her nose. Which, of course, like little kids are going to be obsessed with these things. So they were so hot. They're like trading cards coming in baseball cards packs. But I mean, even I was just reading the Turmoil in the Toy Box thing and said, these are God, like children are God's special creatures, and these things are making them look ugly. And I was like, they're just ugly. That's the best this guy could fucking do.
Yeah. I mean, it's so ridiculous because, I mean, like, Christian and Catholic iconography is basically an emaciated Jew, essentially looking like a concentration camp victim, nailed to a 2x4.
Well, they wouldn't call him a Jew.
Well, he is.
Yeah,
he's
but
he's the Jewiest Jew who's ever Jew.
I wish you could see this. Look at this right there. There's this picture of, I don't even know if it's really Jesus, but it just said Jesus Christ crucified on a pentagram. I'll take a picture and put it on the we'll put it on the Instagram stories. But look, that's just, it said from a comic book.
There's no way that's Jesus. Look at his quads and look at his calves. They're so overly developed.
It just says, like, as if they're mocking them.
Yeah.
For He-Man. He-Man's a big evil one in this book, too. It would say, He-Man, Masters of the Universe. There's only one Master of the Universe, and his name is Jesus Christ. I mean, this is how bad it was. But I bring all that up to, we would get popped regularly by my parents for stealing stuff. Only a couple times did we get, 1 or 2 times, for getting caught stealing stuff at the store, but we'd get caught by our parents a lot. They're very against stealing, which, you know, I guess that makes sense. If you're raising your kids, don't steal.
They're like, just buy it with all the money you're earning, guys.
But we would steal a lot. We would steal, like, I'll never forget, my dad had, it wasn't Almond Joy. I think it's Mr. Good Bar. I think they're called. It's like an almond chocolate bar.
Yeah. We know.
And my dad loved those, and I'll never forget, I stole a 5-pack from Gemco at some point.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we were little, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old.
That's fine.
And I gave it to my dad for his birthday, and he looked like, he's like, oh, thank you. And then he's like, my mom must have said, like, I don't know where he got that from or where he got the money from that. And I remember my dad saying, like, you know, I'm not even, he was like, I'm not even, you ruined my appetite or something like that.
Because it's a stolen chocolate bar.
Yeah, and I guarantee you my dad ate those things later, didn't even think about it. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. You just ruined my appetite. But dude, I remember we would go to baseball card conventions. They would have them in the mall, like in the places you walk.
Yeah.
And I remember one time we stole 3 boxes of Garbage Pail Kids. So I was in first grade, Danny was in kindergarten. And 3 boxes. So we're just 2 little kids stole the fuck out of these things. And kindergarten back then was a half day.
Yeah.
And so I'll never forget, we like had hid them from our parents. And then I walked in, Danny had got a half day, so I had like stayed a couple more hours at school. And I came in and they were all opened all over our bedroom. So just all these packs of cards, bubble gum strips, all of it, just the bedroom trashed full of cards. And I remember opening the door and seeing it, and my mom like coming in behind me and being like, where did you get these from? And we were like, oh, nothing. Then we got beat.
But did you have fun? Did you have fun, though?
I had fun stealing.
Yeah. It sounds like a good upbringing. It sounds like a nice, classic, good old American abusive upbringing.
Yeah, it's something. It's something just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I was just, I think, but see, you're 14 years older than me. So you grew up in a time where I think you could steal much easier. If I tried to steal in the late 90s when I was a little kid, they would have just gunned me down with their high-tech surveillance cameras or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
I guess it wasn't really that high-tech back then.
Yeah, but there might be something to it. People have more access to video cameras and stuff. Because
Yeah.
I don't think they had many security cameras. It was just such a different time. The 80s were incredible. I was thinking about the West Covina Mall. We used to have 2 toy stores in that mall.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 90s, the malls were still going strong.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the Glendale Galleria had FAO Schwartz and KY Toys. KB Toys, sorry,
Yeah.
KB Toys. KY Toys.
That's now.
Welcome to KY Toys, kids.
That's now.
Learn about how you were made.
Yeah, but I remember there was a Tower Records that you'd go to Tower Records. There's a Round Table Pizza. You could get a slice. Go to KB. Oh, let's check out KB, and then we'd go upstairs, Toy Box. Be like, let's see what Toy Box has. KB was always better, but Toy Box would have some. I was just like, such an incredible time with all this commerce.
Yeah, it's just we were brought up in a just a aggressively consumerist culture.
Yeah.
And it was all about the mall and going to buy the shit and the Slurpee and the churro and the Orange Julius, and it's the brand. And I mean, I remember I was a teenager in the 2000s, and Julie, I know, would remember this. It was considered stylish and chic to have brand names across the t-shirts and the bags and your butt and your ass. Now that's embarrassing. If you have like a thing that says Gucci across your chest, like people are like, you
don't
look
tell the
awful.
Armenians.
Well, they're from a country that's doing real bad, and anyone that's from those types of countries, they're 25 years in the past, style wise and music wise. Like when I was in Portugal, that's one of those countries, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful, but it's, you walk into these gay bars and it's like, it feels like 1997 in there. It's not updated in any way. The music is dated. There was literally gay guys, like what was considered hot there were gay guys in the corner with spiky hair. They had spiky hair. And I was in Portugal in 2019 and they had spiky hair, like second graders during the first Eminem album. So.
Oh, man. I know you don't watch football, but the Detroit Lions are doing really good. They're favored to go all the way.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about any of that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you this for a reason.
Okay.
They played, I forgot who they played a couple weeks ago, and that this were the Rams. Oh, yeah. And
Does that have to do with Taylor Swift?
No,
Oh, okay.
close, though. At the start of it, Eminem introduced the game.
All right.
So the Detroit game, and like his music was playing, I think, and he's like, we've been trampled on for too long. Like he was like saying that kind of stuff.
Who's we? Oh, the team?
Detroit.
Oh, Detroit.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
the Detroit Lions. They're notorious losers. But he was just like, he's like, then this guy like arose from the ashes, like whoever their quarterback
Yeah.
was or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like listening from the kitchen because I was going to go to work, but I was like straight up getting like hyped from the kitchen.
What does it feel like to care about sports? Like, what do you feel? How do you feel about that?
It feels good.
Okay.
There's two things. One, you feel stupid because I didn't grow up liking sports. It just has not been my thing.
Right.
Something I got into as an adult. So you feel kind of stupid, but you also, it feels good to like feel alive and to care about anything. You know what I mean?
And that makes you feel alive?
Yes. When your team, and you do feel stupid at the same time, especially
Okay.
someone who didn't experience this growing up. So I've bought into a dumb cult.
Right.
And so you do feel alive when you see stuff happen and you get excited and your stomach hurts. It's
Yeah.
like falling in love.
Yeah.
But there is always something in the back of your head knowing like, oh, this is very stupid what's happening.
Right.
I wish I could take away that thing. I wish I could be a regular American and be excited with how things are going and everything. But that thing is knowing. I'm still like such a... I think of how bad things are going, and then I'm like, ooh, I should not be like this if I have a daughter who's newly born. I should be more optimistic. Otherwise, why did we have the fucking kid? But the answer is because my fucking wife wanted to.
Yeah, and the truth is existence is suffering, and so she's going to have to go through that too. And that's both of your guys' fault.
Hopefully she's not gay. Thank you for listening to Horn Dawgs. She's gonna be bi.
You should have seen the haircut she was born with.
She's gonna be bi,
Yeah.
non-binary. She's gonna do the whole thing.
She looked a lot like Che Diaz when she came out,
My daughter looks like Shay Diaz.
doing her comedy at the. What's so funny about that whole storyline is that is the type of comic who I could never foresee being booked at the Comedy Store in any way, unless it was an outside produced show.
Yeah, the one on the show was definitely
An outside produced show. Yeah, I was like, there's no way she's like a friends and family or past at the club. With that shit, there's no way.
Subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us at Horn Dawgs Podcast on Instagram. Tell your friends. Jonathan Cerda Rowell over there, Steve Hernandez. Follow us. We love you. We love you.